Well, it really started as publishing small pamphlets, or as they were then known as bulletins. And there was a desire from some of the staff to go beyond that into books.
Everyone was very focused from the start that the books had to be well designed, the paper had to be great, but the technologies through which you achieve that have really been transformed. Doing things like footnotes was disastrously expensive, and now of course all our typesetting is done in-house on computers, and we send off the files to the printers, which are mostly in Asia. The physical process of book publishing has transformed itself over the last 50 years.
For some time it occupied the grocer's shop or the old grammar school tuck shop in Grafton Road, where the weight of the books gradually meant that the floorboards and the piles had to be changed rapidly. And it wasn't until about 1966 that they started with the first full-time editor, and that was Dennis McEldown. Dennis then eventually built the press, developed relationships with Oxford University Press. It grew from there, and it's just grown in strength. And now it's foremost in winning awards, whether it be in poetry, design, print. A lot of history publications have all won awards, and it's unique most likely now in New Zealand because it has a broader base than most of the other university presses.
Auckland University Press has always been aimed at taking great scholarly ideas, great poetry, great creative ideas, and getting them out to a broad New Zealand audience. Getting ordinary New Zealanders reading and giving them access to some of the scholarship and some of the great ideas coming out of this university and other universities. And I think that's a great mission, both for the university itself and for Auckland University Press. Some of the famous books that we publish are famous because they were controversial. So Keith Sinclair's biography of Walter Nash became very controversial because the SIS tried to ban the publishing of the book and to censor out some of the sentences because they believed it was a security risk.
As far as poetry is concerned, it is most likely foremost in New Zealand.
It's a difficult thing for most commercial publishers to do, and so pretty much any poetry that was submitted to me at Penguin, I referred it to Auckland University Press, who are much more likely to publish it.
So it's publishing books that may not otherwise be published in New Zealand.
Over the years, the press has extended out the range of what it publishes, from sort of a focus on that poetry and Maori studies and history to now we do a lot of science publishing, we do art and architecture, we do business and economics as well as the humanities. And I think sort of extending across the university, across the life of the mind is quite important for a good university press.
So it's become more independent. I think its standards have retained very high. It's not just publishing books, it's also contributing to the publication business in New Zealand.
I was asked to do a review of Auckland University Press, and it proved, as I suspected all along, that the press was one of the great jewels actually in the university's crown, and made a very significant contribution to the world of books in New Zealand.